I'm Mr. MegaManFan. Welcome back to Genesis Does. This week we're featuring Rolo to the Rescue from Vector Dean, published by Electronic Arts in 1992. As you can see from the screenshots I've captured here, Rolo is an elephant, a rather heroic one at that, who makes his way through a platforming game rescuing all of his friends, hence to the rescue. Now, to be honest, I do not have a physical copy of this game. I went through my entire Genesis library, and it went from Road Rash to Rollerball to Romancing the Three Kingdoms with no Rolo to the Rescue anywhere in there. Kind of a shame that I don't own this one physically because, to be honest, it's pretty good. It's not great. It's not an all-time classic. I know at least one reviewer placed it 31st out of the 40 best Mega Drive games of all time. I don't know if I'd go that high, but you know what they say about opinions, and we all have them, so in my opinion, it's okay. One of the things that does make this game stand apart from its competitors is shown to you in this opening credit sequence. You get to see all of the different friends that Rolo can rescue turn out to be helpers in his mission. When you free them from their cages, you can freely switch to them, and they have different abilities than Rolo the elephant. Like this bunny, for example, he can jump really, really high, so he can reach bonus areas and pick up things that Rolo can't because his jump is much stubbier compared to him. And there's Beaver you can unlock who can go swimming, whereas I don't know why, considering I don't think elephants are like afraid of water or anything, but maybe just because of their size, they're not that good of a swimmer. I don't know. But Rolo sinks like a stone whenever he's in the water. So if you got an area where you want to traverse watery platforms, use the Beaver because he'll like bounce around on top of the water instead of plummeting to the bottom of the ocean. So you pick which character you need once you rescue them based on what you're trying to do. All you have to do that is hit start, select them, and then hit any button, and you go back to the main screen with the new characters selected. You can see here I've used the rabbit to access a bonus area that was sparkling in the trees. Rolo would have never been able to get to that, so turns out the bunny rabbit was the right pick for these high branches. You'll find that a lot. There will be hidden bonus areas, there will be bonus points above the treetops. You have to just know to look around. It's not going to tell you what to do. And speaking of it not telling you what to do, not having an instruction manual was not helpful in this case, but thankfully for me, it turned out that this was just a fluke. I thought the game crashed on me, but turned out my cat was playing with my mouse, and when he does that, it automatically stops gameplay because it doesn't let you do anything in the background. So once I moved the mouse away, it went back to gameplay. For a second there, though, I thought it had crashed. And I was like, oh God, I don't even know if I did something wrong that would have made the game crash, because I don't have a manual, I don't have a box, I don't have anything. Just my cat being playful. So that was a relief. Still, it would have been nice to be able to look up if any of the buttons do anything else, because the only things that I've done so far are jump around and jump off water and jump in the trees and open cages. And to open the cages, you have to hit these like circus masters or evil villains, whatever they are. They kind of look like they're from a circus. And they are trapping elephants in cages and other animals in cages. And elephants and circuses kind of go hand in hand. So let's just assume it's an evil circus master, the three-ring leader who is taking all these animals, and Rolo's like, no way, I'm going to put a stop to this. Just make up your own story when you don't have a manual for a game. Just come up with something, go with it. I like this overworld map that shows you the stages you're going to from one to the next, and you can actually use that same menu that you use to pause and select a different character. You can use that to go back to the main map, and if you want to go back to a previous area, or you went to an area and decided that wasn't the area you wanted to be in, you can go back and change it. As you can see here, I've got a beaver, and he's collecting a bunch of items, including something that either looks like a vacuum cleaner or an oxygen tank with wheels. I'm going to assume a vacuum because from what I've seen online in the wiki entry and other places, you can actually pick up items to do certain things. Like you can pick up a helium tank to float in the air, you can pick up a vacuum to suck up things that you need, and so on. But I never got that far because I was just having more fun trying out the different animals' abilities and not even the items themselves. And as I said before, having a manual would have been kind of helpful for this because I am using Genesis emulation and a Genesis controller, but if it was a manual that was showing you what A, B, and C do, then I'd be okay because that's what's on my controller. It's a USB 6-button Genesis controller, the same one that I use with my Genesis Mini. It's also compatible with my computer, so when I'm recording emulation footage for Genesis Does, that's how I do it. So yeah, we've got a few different elements going on here in Rolo to the Rescue. We've got platforming, we've got item collecting, we've got different abilities that different animals use, so there's a lot of different influences going on in this game. Some parts of it may remind you of Mario Brothers, like Super Mario 3. Some parts may remind you of Donkey Kong Country, and it predates Donkey Kong Country and comes after Super Mario 3, so make up your own mind who influenced what on whom. But I would say overall, the only thing that I don't really like about Rolo the Rescue is how the controls are pretty slippery, especially when you're controlling Rolo. He is trying to land on areas like branches and trees, and the hitboxes for those branches will be way smaller than they actually look, so if you're not dead on in the middle, you won't hit them. And turning around when you're already in the air isn't very, to compare it to Super Mario 3, it isn't very easy to control where you land. You just kind of have to throw all your momentum into something and hope that you either went far enough or not far enough, because where you land is where you are. So I would say it's good, except you can't finesse the control very well once you're in motion. So if you're used to platforming games that offer you a high degree of stop on a dime, reverse in midair type physics, Rolo to the Rescue is going to be unsatisfying in that regard. And there's also an issue with the camera placement in that you sometimes have to take leaps of faith. You aren't going to know whether or not something is above or below you. You're just going to have to hope that you hit a target once you go, especially when you're using something like the rabbit that jumps really, really high. So just winging a prayer, man, winging a prayer. You just have to hope for the best. I wouldn't call it as bad as something like Bubsy 3D, not by a long shot, but it could have used some work. I mean, that's why I don't know if this is like 31st on the 40 best Mega Drive games of all time. It's okay. The platforming could be a little tighter. There could be a little more in-game instruction on how to use items and how to do certain things, but I guess they're just assuming everybody has a complete in-box copy when they get this. They weren't even thinking about 20, 30 years down the road, or perhaps parents throwing away the box and the manual and kid only has the game, or rental places that rent the game out but don't rent out a manual and box with it. So they didn't consider all those different possibilities back then, but they did make a decent game. There's some cutesiness to it. It has a nice look. There's multiple layers of scrolling in the foreground and the background, so I appreciate the art style. It definitely gives you the illusion of depth in this forest, and it's okay. I'd give this one a try. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.